Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Everyone checking in on the MJ sector. So we had a day where market strength continued as far as the S&P 500 goes. We saw some healthy consolidation there. We saw profit taking in Canadian MJ. Why did we see profit taking? Because gap ups are for selling in general, and certainly today. So we also saw the laggard play. US MJ did see some funds trickle in today, so that is worth noting, and we need to put that in our memory banks. Big bull move market wide. Second day, laggard play, USMJ on the OTC. So I'll certainly be remembering that for next time. CGC on the daily time frame is still a potential bear flag at this point. Again, the burden of proof is on the bulls. I have a CGC position, but I'm absolutely going to remain skeptical of these bulls because we're in a daily downtrend. If we break $42, the daily bear flag possibility will diminish. If we break support of $39.90, the odds of the daily bear flag will increase significantly. This is not the kind of follow through the bulls we're hoping for today. The hourly time frame dumped off first thing this morning and slowly climbed into the end of the day. If we cannot break 420, 42.30 in the morning, it'll be an hourly lower high and we'll pull back and look for an hourly equilibrium fitting inside today's range. We'll look for a lower high and then a higher low compared to $39.90. Cron with an upgrade. Really a significant reaction to that upgrade. Can you imagine how easy it is to be a bank to load up on weakness and then put out an upgrade and see an instant 10% return? Must be nice. 1655 was resistance. We did break that level, and we're going to watch an hourly equilibrium. High of the day, low of the day. Lower high was set at 1623. Bulls have to break 1623 and 1670 to see continuation. If we break 1567, we're looking down at the low of 1523. It is a gap up open, and we have to confirm the trend change with a daily higher low and higher high. So we're a bit cautious, but certainly a very significant day for the bulls. And if we look at the monthly time frame, right off the 12-period exponential support, bulls are trying to form their monthly higher low. Confirming this daily trend change and getting up over $17 will make it much more convincing that our monthly higher low has been set. ACB. Bulls have a lot more space to work with before being a bear flag, but it's the same story. Hourly uptrend, very weak bounce from the low of the day. I did make a trade on ACB today, and the trade, let's go into that real quick. So the trade was on weakness, and I looked at the 5-minute time frame, and I said, all right, I'm getting interested here. I looked at the weak bounce. It looked like a bear flag on the 5-minute time frame. Still wasn't interested. I looked at the 15-minute chart, and I said, all right, we're overextended on the 15-minute. The RSI is getting oversold coming off of a bull move. I will be interested in ACB. So I started to plan my entry looking for the bounce. And I said, I'm not interested in this bounce yet because SPY was in a very tight 5-minute pattern and the oil inventory report was about to come out. The oil inventory report was bearish and SPY pulled back and broke the low of the day. So we saw another leg down. I made my entry at 761. I had another order at 751 if we kept pulling back. And I exited at 771. So a little 10-cent move over 1%. Nothing to write home about, but a little over a half-day maker. I'll take it. And the hourly time frame, and that's just an example of how I use SPY and oil and the complete picture of the market and correlations to help shape my decisions on individual names as well. Had I disregarded SPY and oil and not been paying attention to them, I would have entered too early on ACB, and it likely would have resulted in a break-even trade as opposed to a 60% day maker or so. So ACB, if the bulls show up first thing tomorrow, anything under 816 is a lower high, and we'll look for an hourly tightening range. APA. Whoa. What you want? APHA is a potential bear flag on the daily time frame. It's a weak bounce. If we break the lows of today on any names that look like bear flags, we are going to be looking to confirm those bear flags with lower lows. Bro. You're really messing with my flow. So anything that looks like a bear flag on the daily time frame, if we break the low of today, we're looking right back down at our recent lows. And this is just a lower high being set on the daily. APHA, weak bounce attempt on the hourly time frame. So certainly not much space before we drop down and break that low today. Bulls in the Canadian MJ space that look like this on the hourly have to see a bull move first thing tomorrow morning to try and create space above that low of today's support. TLRY, that's a picture perfect bear flag. If we see a break of 35.35, we're looking right down at 34.25 and another leg down with a lack of support anywhere nearby. I'll be interested when the daily RSI gets oversold if we drop under $30, or I should say when the weekly gets oversold if we drop under $30, I'll be interested. But other than that, not interested. OGI. That's the 2-day chart. So OGI saw a bounce. It's just a lower high compared to 1062. We're looking at 10 or make that 968 support. And to change this daily trend, the bulls have to hold 910 and then break the lower high pattern to give us the weekly higher low being set. So bulls have to form the higher low and higher high. S&P 500 has to do the same thing. To change its daily trend, we need the higher low and higher high. We'll see if the OGI bulls are able to pull it off. Hexo, very weak. Big gap up, gave it all back. Closing at the low. 620 is support. We don't have much to work with. If we break 620, we're looking down at 6 psychological, 608, and then 6 psychological. And our new daily lower high of resistance is 670. TRST, weak bounce, nothing there for the bulls. We even dropped down to 685 support. It held initially, but that is certainly still in play at this point. So we are very skeptical of bulls on all these daily time frames, and that's why if you are playing these bounces, and if you have a short-term mindset, you gotta be scaling out into profit. The profit does not last long, and otherwise, you're getting stopped out at break even or you're bag holding. So lock in that profit when you have it. When the daily trend changes, it'll be a different story, but until that happens, bears have control. VFF, solid close at the end of the day. I'm watching the range of 1029, 1438. Our higher low is now 1180, and we're looking for a lower high compared to 1438 for this range to continue tightening up. If we lose the hourly uptrend, we will set our lower high. This is a potential top fishing play tomorrow, looking at how extended this hourly bounce is. If we can't break $13 tomorrow morning, it's a bearish entry, stop above $13, and we're going to look for an hourly pullback to stay in an equilibrium. If we can't break $13, it all depends on what the pre-market setup looks like as to whether or not that's a good trade or not. ZYNE, bear flag on the daily still. Break 1088 and the odds of the bear flag will increase. And we're setting a new daily lower high of resistance of 1224. So lots of bear flags out there. The tech sector, Facebook, Amazon, these are bear flags out there. SPY is not a bear flag. So we have to be watching very closely because we may just be setting up for another leg down on these Canadian MJ names. And we have to protect against that if we are bullish. USMJ, IIPR goes under the radar, and I don't know why, but it is easily the most bullish USMJ name, still in a weekly uptrend, on the verge of all-time highs. I did a video over the weekend talking about where does money go in a weak market, and I highlighted IIPR because it's an REIT that issues dividends. That's where money goes in a weak market. It's guaranteed income as long as the company doesn't cut the dividend. And here we are testing the all-time high, 93.24, and then we're looking at 100 psychological. Huge bull day. I wouldn't be buying the break of 93.24 just because the bulls are so extended heading into that resistance, but this is a beautiful weekly uptrend that has been a weekly uptrend for the last 6 months. Find me a USMJ name that's been in a 6-month weekly uptrend this clear and clean, and I don't think you can do it. So all-time high test tomorrow. Congrats to the IIPR bulls. We used to get a lot of flack because we covered the IPO of IIPR, and all in here people would write us messages about how terrible a decision it is and how terrible a company it is. And it's nice to look at the chart now. CURA, anything under 1304 is just a daily lower high. Here's the USMJ bulls showing up. And one thing that I want to point out is dollar volume. The total dollar volume on Curaleaf between the US and Canadian MJ dual listings was roughly about $15 million. And that's a very rough estimation, but the bottom line is it's very low. That's about an hour of CGC volume. So if on a green day, you can go 16+% at one point on $15 million, it's obviously very thinly traded. That's why we're pulling back so significantly. When there's no bid support, any little selling pressure drops the price significantly, and we saw on the way up in the spring that the bulls can really run things with significant percentages. That's the beauty and the terrible aspect of the OTC market. The market makers are not there dictating trade and creating liquidity like they are on other exchanges. So it shows you when a little bit of buying pressure comes in, it goes a long way. And if there's ever an influx, whether it's news or an event, if we had, I guess I said in a recent video, but if there were a surprise bullish event in the USMJ sector and dollar volume came in, these names can go 50% in 3 days very easily. So, just look at obviously we dumped before this bounce, but the 2-day recovery of 18% is nothing to sneeze at. No, I'm just kidding. That wasn't real. But we're going to look for a lower high compared to 1304. And to change the trend, we need the daily higher low and higher high. We're watching hourly uptrends. We didn't establish any hourly support today. As long as the hourly uptrend is intact, our top has not been set yet. So we can anticipate that when Curaleaf does consolidate next, it will form an hourly higher low because we have a lot of space to work with. Lead USMJ bull, we know that much, and it certainly was flexing and showing us why today. Nobody else on my screen for the USMJ space was up nearly as much. CWeb getting a bounce. Anything on the daily under 2020 is just a lower high. Bulls have a ton of work to try and change this trend. It's just an oversold bounce at this point, and at this point, we could see a 10% bounce and still be forming a daily lower high, another 10% from where we stand. So again, burden of proof is on the bulls. We need to be skeptical of these bulls. If I were playing these oversold bounces, which I'm currently not as I don't have positions, I would be exiting half of them into profit, and I would be putting my stop at break-even, worst case scenario. TRUL, anything under 1807 is just a lower high. Hourly uptrend, that's still a bear flag as well. Bulls better break 1473 with some conviction tomorrow to keep this hourly uptrend intact, because if we change this hourly uptrend, change the hourly trend, and do not get follow through, it's a potential bear flag on the daily time frame. IAN, bulls not doing much. They held support, have to break 561 and 569 to change the trend on the daily time frame. And we also got the exponential resistance as a guide, which has rejected the price over a half dozen times, have to close above those levels and start to turn them into support. OH, bounce, upper wick forming, resistance of 1130, anything under that's just a lower high. Hourly time frame, 1027 is the higher low. So bottom line, if Canadian MJ, the names that look like bear flags on the daily time frame, if they break the lows of today, the odds that they are bear flags will increase. Not a guarantee, but certainly makes it less favorable for bulls. USMJ, hourly uptrends on watch. When we lose the hourly uptrends, that means we have topped out on the bounce. And we then look for a pullback. Some of those names are possible bear flags on the daily. Other names like Curaleaf have a lot of space to work with to try and form a daily higher low and higher high. And a lot of how this is going to play out is going to depend on whether or not SPY can give us a daily higher low and higher high and confirm the trend change. Right now, the S&P 500, from the all-time high to the low of this exaggerated fear dump, we are $1 away on SPY from being right back in the middle, which means we are equidistant from the all-time high to the low 2 days ago. So it's a very significant recovery in the market. Oil still has not bounced. It's still oversold. But we have to see daily trend changes to mean anything. And we don't have them on a lot of the MJ sector. I appreciate you watching. Do good things out there. We're going to end it with some Austin Bats. It's a recycled video from maybe half a year ago or something along those lines. Have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow.